everyone, my name is Larissa and today we will be reviewing AICE International History Chapter 3.4. Let's get right into it. 3.4 is all about why did war break out in 1939? First, let's discuss British rearmament in response to Germany's expansionism. This section is a little bit wordy, so I did summarize it as seen on screen. After the Munich Agreement, it quickly became very clear that Hitler had no intention of keeping his promises, in the slightest. On March 15, 1939, German troops took over the rest of Czechoslovakia. This showed that appeasement had completely failed, and even leaders like Chamberlain realized that stronger action was now necessary. In a speech in March 17, 1939, Chamberlain admitted that appeasement had been an attempt to avoid war through negotiation and mutual understanding. However, Hitler's actions made it clear that this approach was no longer working. Chamberlain mourned that Britain valued peace, but would be willing to fight if necessary to defend freedom. At the same time, Britain was not fully prepared for war. After the First World War, it had reduced its military strength and followed the 10-year rule, assuming that no major war would happen anytime soon. This led to major cuts in defense spending. However, as tensions increased in the 1930s, Britain began to rearm. Reports showed that war was becoming more likely, especially against Germany, Italy, and Japan. Even so, economic problems caused by the Great Depression limited how much Britain could actually spend on its defense. Britain focused mainly on strengthening. Britain focused mainly on strengthening its air force and navy, since they were essential for defending the country and its empire. New aircrafts like Spitfires and Hurricanes were introduced, and the navy was expanded. Radar systems were also developed by this point, and production of weapons increased. Despite this, Britain was not fully prepared for war by 1939. Its army was relatively small compared to Germany's, and most of its preparations were focused on defense rather than launching a full-sized attack. Next, let's discuss the British guarantee to Poland and the failure of appeasement. A major turning point can be shown with the situation in Poland. After taking control of Czechoslovakia, it was very clear that Poland would be Hitler's next target. Like before, Hitler argued that he was protecting German-speaking people and correcting the Treaty of Versailles, especially regarding the Polish corridor. This time, however, Britain and France changed their approach. Miracle, truly. Instead of appeasement, they gave Poland a guarantee of support. This meant that if Germany attacked Poland, Britain and France would declare war. This was a humongous shift in policy. Previously, they had done absolutely nothing to protect countries like Czechoslovakia, but now they were committed to defending Poland, even though they were not fully prepared for war at all. Some politicians criticized this decision, arguing that it would lead directly to war. However, Chamberlain believed that showing strong support for Poland would discourage Hitler from attacking. At the same time, Britain tried to form an alliance with France and the USSR to strengthen opposition to Germany. However, these negotiations failed. There was a lack of trust, especially towards the Soviet Union, and Poland refused to allow Soviet troops into its territory. Because of this, the USSR felt isolated and began to look for other options. Now let's discuss reasons for the Nazi-Soviet pact. This led to one of the most shocking events before the war. Again, the Nazi-Soviet pact. In August 1939, Germany and the Soviet Union signed a non-aggression pact, agreeing to not attack each other. Publicly, it appeared to be an economic agreement, but it included a secret deal to divide Eastern Europe. This meant that Germany could invade Poland without interference from the USSR. In return, the Soviet Union would gain territory in Eastern Europe, including parts of Poland. This agreement shocked the world because Germany and the USSR had completely opposite ideologies. However, both sides benefited from it. For Stalin, it reduced the risk of war on two fronts and gave him the time to strengthen the Soviet military. For Hitler, it removed the main obstacle to invading Poland. With his agreement in place, Hitler moved forward with his plans. On September 1st, 1939, Germany invaded Poland using a rapid military strategy known as Blitzkrieg. Something like that. This involved coordinated attacks using troops, tanks, and aircraft to overwhelm the enemy very quickly. Poland immediately asked Britain and France for help. Although they had promised support, they were not ready to respond immediately. After Germany ignored a final warning to withdraw, Britain declared war on September 3rd, 1939. France followed shortly after. This marked the official start of the Second World War. So overall, to summarize this section, while the invasion of Poland did trigger the war, the causes were much deeper than that. These included the harsh terms of the Treaty of Versailles, which created resentment in Germany, the failure of the League of Nations to stop all this aggression, and the economic effects of the Great Depression, which helped lots of extremist leaders rise to power. The fear of communism also prevented strong alliances against Hitler, and appeasement allowed Germany to grow stronger and more aggressive. Finally, the Nazi-Soviet Pact was the last straw, and it made the invasion of Poland possible and removed the last major barrier to the war. Thank you so much for watching. This concludes our summary of Chapter 3.4 and Chapter 3 as a whole for AICE International History. I wish you the best of luck in all your studies.